Okay, hello everyone. Thank you guys for joining us today. This is the Ministry of Research and Innovation and Professor Martin Lukac from the School of Engineering and Digital Sciences. Today we will be, not we, but Professor will be presenting his lab, his arrays, co-workers, what they're working on, their projects, their publications, their major research interests, and of course we'll be a little bit talking about some opportunities for students who can join the lab, what the students should know. Okay, so please, Professor, introduce yourself. I'll mute myself.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Martin Lukac. I am Associate Professor of Computer Science. I'm Associate Professor in Computer Science in the School of Engineering and Digital Sciences. I've been here for 7 years. And today I want to talk to you about our new paradigm computing laboratory. And well, because in general it is mostly computing, so as you can expect, it will be boring. So I decided to make a little bit more augmentations. As you can see, we have 2 live cameras, which make it as exciting as possible. One camera is there, and you can see 2 of you can see camera and Outlet Gallery working here, which I forced them here to be here on Sunday to, so that I'm not alone here. And then we have another camera from the other side there, which is essentially showing them from the different. And as you can see, it's exciting. Okay, so now with this, yes, you can see here. So I can shortly speak. So this is the laboratory. It's on the 4th floor. I will have a little bit more introduction of the C4 building. We have various computational resources from several GPU machines, some 2080 cards, some 2060 cards, most of them enough for actually running most of research projects, considering we are mostly doing optimization and yes, optimization and artificial intelligence, some hardware, but generally on a research level. So for any big scaling up, we're using the DGX. Okay, so I have a presentation. So let me start this. Can I steal the screen? Okay, let me just start the screen here. Okay. All right. So where do I have it here? Okay. So welcome to the virtual tour. So it is as virtual as it is, and well, considering that we don't have that much exciting stuff that I can show in real time, I prepare a presentation that goes over the areas of what we are doing, active projects, and then some opportunities, requirements, and so on. All right, so just shortly, here in the image, you can see this is a dual GPU machine with some nice 64 gigs of RAM that we run generally the larger models. We are situated, actually, right now we have 2 rooms, C4411, and we are expanding into a new room, which is block 3507, where we have also some mostly research computers. Well, the equipment is as expected, mostly computers, keyboard, screens, and mice. We have several fundings currently, essentially, that are going on, working on different projects that I will be talking today about. Okay. All right. So now the lab is called the New Paradigm Computing, and the idea is that we're trying to do a cross-disciplinary or interdisciplinary research in a sense of not really of trying to join together, let's say, 3 different areas for the purpose of studying artificial intelligence and improvement of human society. So we have the area, let's say, of software. We have this area of hardware interaction with the requirements of a human. Yes, and the general idea is that on each of these interaction, we have a specific area that we are actually working in one way or another to the ultimate goal of determining the artificial intelligence such that will be improving the human society and letting us do what is the most exciting for each of us. Yes. So now in particular, we have these 3 areas, and one of them is essentially real-world application. This is, I guess, this is the most exciting from the point of view of demonstration. Then we have optimization of algorithms, which is, I don't know if you know, this is a very, very big problem. Currently, there is the summit in Scotland about the emissions of CO2, and considering the very high cost of training a deep learning model or any sort of big data artificial intelligence, the imprint generated from these machines, whether it is in CO2 or in heat, is actually becoming very, very significant. And therefore, the optimization is one very, very hot and important area. And then, of course, we have the last area, which is currently we are in the transistor era of computing. However, we are in a, I guess we are in a sort of how could I say it? We are at the stop in the development, because if you, for example, since last 20 years, the average speed of computation didn't really change. It is between 2 and 4 gigahertz, and one of the reasons is that again, the cooling down, the increasing scale of integration are essentially putting limits on what we can do with the hardware. So we are also have some research into new hardware areas, such as, let's say, quantum or neuromorphic or so on. Okay, so let's have a look. So the first one, software for artificial intelligence. And so we have there mainly two main projects. So the first main project is essentially based on non-verbal communication, or essentially looking to analyze and understand passive communication model. Now, it is generally assumed or psychologically proven or determined by experimental and empirical study that at least 60% of human-to-human communication is non-verbal, which means fingers, face, and so on, moving left and right and so on. For example, if you make a machine read a joke, it is generally not funny, and it is because not only the machine don't know how to properly say it, the machine doesn't really know the context, and so on. So there is the communication as we know it, it's actually much more complex, and the words are only a part of it. Yes, and therefore, in this current project, we are essentially interested into something which is called the personalized content delivery. And so we started this project, which is essentially based for entertainment, because it's a good benchmark for this application. And the idea is that, let's say that you are watching a game of football. Football is an example, so it can be anything else. It could be personalized news delivery, it could be weather delivery, it could be any sort of information. And then you are watching something which is given to you by the operator. Now, the operator is certainly highly skilled and is showing all the information that will satisfy most of the people who are actually watching. Yes. However, let's say that you are a fan of some particular, let's say, player or some particular type of actions that you actually cannot see, because it is not what the operator will choose to show you. Yes, and therefore we essentially decided to investigate the system that will based on the real-time analysis of, let's say, of your expressions, of your intention of what you want to see, so that actually what you want to see will be shown to you. Yes. Now, for this, we developed a system that we are working on several parts. And so you are sitting in front of the camera, in front of the TV, let's say a smart TV. You have a game of football which is streaming directly to you. Artificial intelligence is analyzing how you are enjoying the game. And based on that, it will modify the content. It will zoom, it will pan, it will show you different stream of the game, so that actually it is maximizing your expectations. Yes. So this is I think this is the same, but this is a little bit more, how could I say, more data flow or process flow information. You sit in front of the camera. Yes. We record the real-time information about you of video and camera. We also record, let's say, some of your habits. We record some of your preferences. On the other hand, we have, let's say, the game of football with all the information available from the streaming service. And we have an intelligent processing that essentially sort of will adjust what you are shown. For example, if you like Messi and the ball is on the other side of the field, maybe you are not interested actually to watching the other side of the field, but you will want to see where Messi is being placed. Yes. Or if you don't like Messi and the Messi is playing some action, maybe you want to see who will be his receiver. Yes. So we are trying essentially to determine, based on the individual preferences, what will happen at the same time in the game and what therefore we should show you so that we increase the, let's say, the experience. Okay. All right. So now one of the things, as I was saying, is that big part of human communication is nonverbal. Yes. Now this nonverbal communication is in many cases translated into emotional communication, whether this is a prosody, whether this facial expression, with this behavioral expression, with these hand gestures, with this body language, and so on. One of the targets that we are essentially using is to determine the spontaneous emotions or the emotional expression of a person watching the game of football. And based on that emotion, trying to determine if the person is happy or unhappy with whatever he or she is seeing. Now, in order for this to be working, we have to have a robust model. And therefore, since the last year, we are essentially currently preparing a paper from that. We started to evaluate the current state of art in a real-time and image-based unposed emotion recognition. And then we realized that there is one problem. And one of the problems is that, I don't know if you heard, that everything that you do depends on data. Yes. If your data set will contain African Americans and Caucasians, your emotional recognition will probably not work very well on Asians. If you have a data set from East Asians, it might not work on West Asians and Middle Easterns. Yes. So there is a very strong ethnical bias that actually plays a very strong role into how well you can determine what type of emotion a particular person is expressing. Yes. We are not trying to determine what is your inside feelings, because this is personal. We only try to understand that if a person expresses some emotions so that we can reliably recognize them. And therefore we started to work. So currently one of our work is to try to debias emotional recognition independently of whatever ethnic group you are belonging to. Now, Kazakhstan is very interesting for this point of view because it is, I think the eastern part of Kazakhstan is essentially sort of part of Europe, I mean geographically, but in addition, there is a big mixture of different ethnic people, of different ethnic groups, and therefore the variety of facial expressions and emotional expression here actually makes it the perfect ground to study such a diversified emotion recognition. Yes. Okay, now let's say that once we figure out, and we are hopefully very soon figuring this out, the emotional expression. The second thing is that if you want to show to someone what they want to see, you cannot wait until it happens in the video. Why? Well, you might have probably seen somewhere, whether it is ice hockey, whether it is football, whether it is racing or whatever event, it often happens that while the operator is operating the camera, the main event can be lost. Yes. Why? Because the event happens faster than the operator can actually move the camera. Yes. Now, what does this mean? That if you only follow what you see, you will be always late to essentially the expectation what will be happen next. Therefore, we started to build a model that will try to predict a couple of actions ahead of a football game. Yes. So if we can properly predict what will happen 1 second from now, half a second now, or 2 seconds from now, then we can say, oh, the user doesn't like what they are seeing. We're going to navigate the camera to the next exciting thing according to the user's liking. Yes. And therefore we developed a model for game prediction. However, it actually turns out that to make a game prediction, what you need again is data. Now, annotating football data, yeah, well, that is not very exciting because you need to say, oh, he passed left or he passed right and so on. So we started developing an automated annotating system that will essentially watch a game, an existing game, have a pass of it from left to right, right to left, and so on, and annotate every action of the player, which means, oh, the player is kicking the ball to the left, or the player is passing the ball to the back, or the player is kicking on the goal, or the player is dribbling. Yes. And currently, we are essentially trying to solve several, I would say, technical difficulties, such as, for example, how to track the ball efficiently. And even though this problem seems to be relatively trivial, when you start to look on the levels of the frames, on the levels of the state-of-art detection and tracking of the ball, you will see that in many cases, dudes like me without hair will be taken for the ball more often than the actual ball. Yes? So if you want to track the ball, well, you cannot have anybody like me, or you shouldn't have anybody like my RA Camila here. She likes to have white shoes. When she has white shoes, well, the white shoes will be more likely to be selected as the ball than the ball itself. Yes. So suddenly you have this problem, which seems to be trivial by default, but suddenly you realize, well, it is actually not so simple to track the ball. Yes. And so this is what he has been solving since the last, I think, 2 months. And hopefully soon we will have a reliable solution that will allow us to eliminate bald-headed guys like me from the ball tracking problem. Okay. And then, of course, once we have the problem of the ball tracking solved, we build a system or a Bayesian network that essentially will allow to determine what are the interesting actions or what actions actually will follow, so that we can directly link concrete actions or concrete predictions to what the user wants to see. You see, because only saying, oh, the guy is going to kick up left or the guy is going to kick back is not really something that you can relate to user preferences. Yes. So what we want to say, for example, will they be something like, will the ball be possessed in the future by the favorite player? Yes. Will in the future there will be a shooting on the goal? Yes. Would there be a possibility of penalty? Would there be a possibility of fault in the very short term, so that we can essentially slightly nudge the camera and show to the user, let's say, the most exciting part? Okay. So this is the live feeling communication and the game of football and the game of personalized delivery. Now, the second application is, so I think it was already 4 years ago. So as you know, one of the hot areas in the data science, it's medical diagnostics, telemedicine, remote diagnostics, sensing, and so on. And now again, Kazakhstan here comes as a great country of opportunity, because Kazakhstan is the 9th biggest country in the world, and there is approximately less than 20 million people, which means you will have settlements, you will have cities that are thousands of kilometers across. Yes, if I go from here to Almaty, I crossed the whole Europe. Yes, and if I go from here to Almaty, I will probably meet Karaganda and Balkhash, and in between nothing. If you do this in Europe, every second kilometer you have a village. Yes, so the density is something absolutely different. Now, this also makes Kazakhstan a good, I would say, experimentation ground for medical remote diagnostics, because people, if they have whatever issue they have to go to medical centers that are probably hundreds of kilometers far away. Yes. Now, if this is a urgent thing, well, this can complicate the things, helicopters, so on, or worst outcomes. In addition, in Kazakhstan, it's there is quite a lot of respiratory diseases, from sinusitis to pneumonia to tuberculosis, and currently COVID, and so on and so on. And so therefore, it is a good combination to try to see if or how could we use this very low human density with the need to actually relatively frequent checking on people if they have any respiratory serious or non-serious syndromes, and try to automate it and make it a little bit more, use the technology for something beneficial. Yes. Not only for WhatsApp and for Facebook, but for something a little bit beneficial. And so the idea is that we decided that we are going to try to see if we can build a cough collector and analyzer with ultimately the target to provide a automatic recommendation for people who will be using the application. As you can see, well, there is some graph, but essentially what it does, the idea is that we have created an application. This application, you can record your cough. And from this cough, currently we are building a system that if you essentially provide a sequence of coughs at a certain time steps, this will give us enough of information to build a, let's say, cough profile, and therefore tell you, oh, well, this doesn't look very good. Maybe you should go see a doctor. Or, oh, this doesn't look that bad. Maybe you can just take a little bit of Romashka and Šipovnik and actually don't worry about your cough. Yes. And now the most important is that there is a cost. There is a cost versus efficiency idea. Is that on one hand, you could say, okay, well, many people, let's say, they don't want to go to a doctor. Yes, they want to go. So in most of cases, if it's something not serious, they will not go to doctor. If it is recurrent, they still don't go to doctor. And then eventually they are feeling so sick that they have to go to a doctor, but it could be already too late. Yes, whether it is an operation or so on and so on, that's a different thing. So the idea of this application is to alert people that they should go to the doctor earlier than later, so that essentially, even though there is some spending money or so on for travel, it is the correct time to go. Yes. All right. So now, of course, this is still in development. Right now, what do we have? We have a guy like this. We have a smartphone-based cough collector. Yes. And so you can essentially download this recorder of coughs. And then currently, what we are doing is we have two branches. You know, one of the problem with this, with the data science, is I was saying, your results will be as good as your data. One of the big problems in the medical information systems is that there is a lack of high quality annotated data. Yes. So we have this application up, I think, since 1 year. We have probably collected about 1,000 coughs. And now these are self-annotated 1,000 coughs. Yes. So what does it mean? Oh, I cough in there. I say, oh, I don't know whatever I have. I'm going to say, oh, whatever I have. Yes. So the reliability on the annotation is very low. And therefore, even if we build an extremely accurate predictor saying, oh, when you have this cough, you have this, it doesn't mean anything because it might have been built on completely wrong data. Yes. And therefore, on one hand, we are building this predictor, but on the other hand, we also developed a very, very nice application, which hopefully soon will go to few hospitals that are partnering with us, where actually the doctor will be annotating data of patients that are being treated in hospital and provide us a not 100%, but high quality annotated data. Now, this is very important because it will be one of the few such databases in the world. And in addition, because it is from Kazakhstan, where the respiratory diseases are, I would say, not popular, but you know, there is quite a lot of them. It's actually a great place to actually gather all these samples and provide a very reliable data for future purposes. Of course, once we have the data set, then you can do different things. But the point is, gathering the data here is, I would say, sort of very exciting because other places, they don't have such an incidence of such a, of these, let's say, diseases for these diagnostics. Okay. So now going back to this, so we are currently essentially analyzing all this, all our data. Now we have originally, I think we have 8 classes. So we have, so you can see here 4. We have pneumonia, COVID, tuberculosis, cancer. We have asthma. We have allergies. We have some cardio-related, and then we have categories other. Other doesn't mean anything at all. It means whatever it is. And the problem is that now these categories, as you can imagine, they are not evenly distributed. We have quite a lot of people from COVID because COVID is the hot thing. Yes. We have quite a lot of people from asthma. We have relatively few people. We have actually quite a lot of people from allergies, but we have relatively fewer people from pneumonia. We have almost no people from tuberculosis, no people from cancer. Of course, you cannot, people might be more or less interested. But we are hoping that with our medically directed data collection, we'll be able to gather relatively same amount from all these categories and therefore provide a data set for training distinction in the future. Now, currently, we are essentially evaluating different approaches. So here you can see this is a spectrum magnitude of, let's say, one of the curves. Here we have the MFCCs, which are essentially a different type of features. And currently we can distinguish between selected type of coughs with up to 85% accuracy. For example, I think if I remember correctly, asthma and allergies are quite difficult to distinguish because they're both very dry coughs. So it's not so easy to actually easily to determine it. But with our technology of providing a time lapse, we can essentially build a profile that will increase the accuracy of providing essentially a reliable saying, oh, you should go see a doctor or not, you should. Now, we are also, want to say we're going to replace the doctor, but we want to essentially just provide an app who says, oh, it is time you should go see a doctor because it seems to be something serious. Yes? If we can have an app who does this, I think that will be a great success. Yes? Okay, now the second area of interest. Now, this is essentially, we're going to do a little bit more technical, completely different area about new technologies. Yes? Now, as I was saying, one of the things that we don't have right now is a hardware which is not limited for whatever we want it to be doing. In particular, we are limited in speed, we are limited in the number of data we can process per hour and so on. As you've seen, NVIDIA is making absolutely amazing amount of money because everybody is using their GPU for deep learning, for parallel processing, and everything parallel, because we cannot go faster than that. Therefore, there is a set of different technologies that are intended as future replacement for the current transistors, in particular the CMOS technologies. And one of these technologies is quantum. Yes. Now, before there, I want to essentially say, why is it actually now? Well, you probably have seen this thing, right? This is a toilet, but it's supposed to be a smart toilet. Yes. If you go to Japan, you sit on the toilet and the toilet is more speaking with you. It's heating, it's opening, it's closing, everything beautiful. Here you have a Roomba that is also computing, it's taking the temperature of your carpet, avoiding the cat and all of this. If you have a smart fridge, well, the smart fridge tells you don't have a butter, let me order it by Glovo. And then this guy, this vacuum cleaner, another vacuum cleaner, then the camera says, oh, in the garden, you have your grandpa who got lost, go pick him up, and so on and so on. So we are going into a highly interconnected, which is called Internet of Things, yes, which means every single thing needs computing, yes. But every single thing needing computing means every single thing generates data. Who's going to process all this data? Yes, we have so much data, we don't know what to do there. Yes, 20 years ago, we didn't have enough data. Now we have too much data. Yes. Now the problem to process all this data, it turns out that we are actually right now lacking enough of fast computing because there is just too many of it. So now on the right side here, this is a table. This is this is sort of essentially an estimation coming from from something which is called the Moore limit. Now the Moore limit, Moore was an engineer at IBM, and he says that the number of transistors per unit in a chip will be doubling every 18 months. So now what does this mean? It essentially means that if you have the chip of this size and you have the chip of this size 2 years after, now this thing by default will be 2 times as fast or 2 times as more powerful in layman's terms, approximately. Yeah? And so now if we look here, it starts somewhere at 90s or so on. But important thing is that if we need to process more and more data, and if we need more and more speed in whatever technology, then it turns out that currently we are in the integrated circuit area. And you can see this is the speed that we are here. We have some Pentium 4, Core IT Quad, or so on and so on. But if we want to go to an area such as that would be equivalent to the number of operations required, such as a human brain, the current technology is not sustainable unless we really scale it very much, which means we will have a supercomputer of size of Nur Sultan. Well, we have other things to do than just build such a big computer, so we are looking for different technology. Now, one of these things that you can see here, we have optical, we have quantum, we have DNA computing, all very exciting technologies, all mostly experimental, slowly getting up there and so on. Yes. So now what I wanted to talk to you about, in our laboratory, we are essentially doing something about quantum computing. Now, just to be sure, no, we don't have a quantum computer yet. We hope we will have a quantum computer very, very soon, because everybody around has a quantum computer. China has a quantum computer. Russia has a quantum computer. Netherlands has a quantum computer. Everybody around has a quantum computer. Now, Kazakhstan has a very big country, so it needs quantum computer. In addition, why is that? Well, do I have this slide here? No, I don't have the slide here. Now, the quantum computer has several, I would say, unexpected properties. Besides the fact that it sounds cool, it's extremely expensive, and it doesn't work very well, very well currently. One of the things what people are really interested that for certain problem, it provides exponential speed up. Now, in particular, the speed up is for some security problems. Yes. Now, for instance, maybe some of you have heard about a cipher called RSA, which is one of the standard cryptographic system when you go to internet and encrypt your personal information. It is based on a hard mathematical problem, which is called integer factorization. And basically, it means you have to search for very, very long time to find the key. Yes. Quantum computers can get it down to a almost linear time, which means the current ciphers that you have, a quantum computer could solve it if we had a quantum computer appropriate scale within hours, which means every security would be by default currently useless if we had a quantum computer. And therefore, everybody who sees this says, ooh, quantum computer, ooh, security, ooh, we need to be the first. Yes? And just because of that, quantum computer is a little bit right now above any other technology, such as optical, such as DNA, such as biomolecular computing, and so on. And it is one of the currently hot technologies because all, I guess, all the big players, if I can say that, put absolutely hilarious amount of money into that. Yes, United States put billions, China put billions, Europe put billions, Russia put billions, just because the first who has such a computer not only will have a very, very fast machine, they can process very, very lot of data. And in addition, quantum computing has certain features that makes it plus or minus not crackable, extremely safe. Yes. So there are several features. And so in our lab, we are actually trying to do what you can do with quantum computer, of course, theoretically, or with our fingers on the computers. Yes. And so the idea is that, so what we do, so if this is a classical chip, you might have seen, this is I think this is some sort of Pentium. And now if you want to do computation on Pentium, you do circuits like this. So here you have some inputs, here you have some output, and you do some computing. Now, of course, so how do you do it with quantum? Where again, we design some circuits and we have some inputs and we have some outputs, and then we do some computing. Yes. So one of the things that essentially we were doing before is how to design these circuits because they are not exactly equivalent. But another interesting thing is that there is currently a publicly available computer, or at least a compiler, and there are quite a few simulation languages. One of the first one was the IBM Q computer. You can go on the internet, type IBM Q, you will see they have a bunch of things. When I started it, there was nobody using it. Right now, you have to wait a couple of weeks until you get your turn and you can run something on there. And the idea is that, well, the quantum computer, how does it look like? Well, currently it looks exactly like this. Yes. And you say, okay, what is this? Well, that's exactly a good question. What is this? This is a bunch of bits. Yes. And as you can see, it has a merely poor 14 or 15 bits. And you say, well, I cannot do anything with that. You say, well, you are right, but that's why it is a research area, because once you will be able to know what you do with these 40 bits, when we will have 200 bits, 300 bits, that's where it will start. Yes. So currently we are essentially using these quantum computers to determine how to do computation, how to design algorithms to solve several things. For example, recently there was a paper, okay, recently, 2 years ago, there was a paper about some people who found out that if you implement a neural network called perceptron on quantum computer, it can be highly accelerated. Therefore, again, increasing the amount of data that you can use for learning in smaller time, and so on. Yes. So we are designing quantum computers. We are trying to find out how you map a particular technology to a particular type of quantum computers, and so on. So the third area of interest, still related to the previous one, is much more environment friendly. Now, as you know, I was mentioning, right now it's the, what is it called? Is it Glasgow? Well, anyway, in Scotland, this environment, the CO2 emissions workshop or summit. And at the same time, there is a very important summit in China, which is dealing with the loss of diversity. Yes. Now, all of these things essentially are telling us that our technology is so popular and there is so much of it that we need to start to pay attention about how it has impact on the environment. Now, as I was saying, one of the big things that we have now, you know, Tesla, you know, Google, you know, Amazon, everybody's using deep learning in such a way that essentially just, whether it is using coal, whether it is using gas, whether it's just computing, it is heating up the planet. And so what we need to do is to find ways how to reduce the environmental imprint of this technology. Think about it, we still have the best computer in our head and it works approximately, I think, on how many, 4 watts or 40 watts? And which is absolutely not imaginable with our current computers. If you had anything close to your to the computational power of our brain, it will be kilowatts, if not megawatts, essentially in power consumption, right? So one of the things that we are doing is to see how we can optimize the current models in order to provide a cheaper and equivalently high quality computational replacement. Yeah. Okay. So of course, so you know this. So this is a deep learning, essentially a GPU, a Titan 5. And now the thing is that, for example, as you know, now this is for very high computing. And now in your phone, pretty much, you know that in your phone is probably much more powerful than what we had, let's say, supercomputer 30 years ago. But still, it doesn't mean that this is completely green, because currently the models are getting bigger and bigger. And while your phone is good enough to recognize your face, as you know, for example, the speech model proposed by, I think it was by Google, it has some 1.5 trillion parameters, and it had to be trained for absolutely horrendous amount of time and on such a resources that essentially it's not really affordable or expandable or scalable up any further. And so what we are doing in currently, we're trying to take these complex networks and we try to simplify them in a way as to reduce the number of computation by trying to determine how much information is actually necessary from the environment, so that we provide the bare minimum, reduce the computation in the network, and therefore really only I would say, provide the computation only for what is necessary. Currently, the approach that we are using, one of the approaches is called binarization. And if anybody is interested, we can essentially, you can contact me and I can give you more information on this. Okay, so these were the 3 main areas. Now we have quite a lot of other projects that we are essentially running. We have some biomedical image understanding. We have a real-world image understanding, hyperspectral analysis, tree and plants autonomous recognition. We have some meta learning optimization. We have a quantum computing and quantum algorithms. Yes. Okay, now these are the resources. Now I think there is still something there. Maybe it's not showing anymore. It should be showing. One moment, please. I have to see if actually these things are showing the real-time video. Okay, so you can see from the cameras pretty much the same thing, you know, so we have some machines. I mean, yeah, as I'm saying, it is as exciting as it gets. bunch of tables, with bunch of chairs, with screens and so on. Okay, so now these are the current, let's say, the current people working in the laboratory. Everybody who doesn't have, who has some funny minion or so on is because they didn't provide the picture. And everybody here, ninjas and so on, they already didn't provide the picture. So, but this is to say we have quite a lot of people. Now, most of the machines that we are using currently are being used remotely. As you can see, we are 3 in the lab. Most of other people are still just accessing the machines, just access the machines remotely. Okay, so now what are the opportunities? Actually, opportunities are only limited by your own imagination. Yes. So what you can imagine, that's what you can do. But now with respect to our lab, we have a website, as you can see at the beginning of the presentation, npc.nu.edu.kz. All the projects are they described in a relatively succinct terms. We have also all the papers. Now, in generally, we are looking for people who are interested in doing, people who are actually interested. Yes. People who are interested in doing programming, people who are actually interested to participate, people who want to have some sort of good time in doing something, people who want to do research, people who just want to do equations. Most of the important is the people who are actually motivated, who wants to work on some problems. Now, in general, I also like to have people who are relatively independent. I'm always here to help to anyone problems, but I like that people, I don't have too much time to micromanage everyone. So most of people who are here, essentially, they're doing something and we have regular meetings and so on. So most of important is conceptual thinking, open-mindedness. And there is, of course, there are some requirements in some, I would say some math, some basics. Yes. Even though I have Dawlet Gali who's there, I think he's from economy. Yes. So he doesn't really, he might not have exactly requirements that I would from computer science. So there is not any specific prerequisites. It's if you are interested, come here. If you don't know how to program, well, we can try to teach you something. If you don't know about deep learning, we can try to teach you something. If you don't know about technology, we are here to actually serve and to teach other people. Yes. Now for specific positions, we have still a advanced programmer for audio analysis, in particular in programming some of the backends of the COF analyzer app. There is some position for the quantum computing, and then of course there are positions here and there for various AI-related, AI-related, I would say problems and so on. Yes. Now, in general, we always give 3 months of evaluation for our students because I want to see how they can perform and so on before doing anything serious. But I'm always happy to accept first or second year undergraduate students because that will give us the longest time to have a great friendship and relationship. Yes. So if you have any questions, now I have another video, which if you want to see, I have a video from other students, what they recorded some time ago. How much time we have? We have 15 minutes, so 1 second, please.
I think your phone disconnected just like a
few
minutes ago.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Well, the other one is working. So
yeah.
Can I share the video with the students?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. To be some problem with the connectivity of that machine. Let me see. 1 second. Is it back? Huh? Okay.
Hello, my name is Sadat and welcome to our lab. So here is my team. I'm working together with Valery Novoselov and our advisor is Professor Lukac. And this is me. So we've been working in our lab for a different amount of time. Professor Lukac was working in the lab for his entire life. I was working for more than 1 year, since January 2020, and my teammate was working there since August 2020, so he is working there for half a year now. Basically, what we do in our lab is research. In this lab, I primarily work on the topic of quantum computers. Our lab consists of high-performance PCs that allow me to both connect to external quantum computers and perform complex computations at the same time. While I was working in Professor Lukac's lab, I learned a lot about quantum computers and programming in general. I write code in Python and I became more comfortable with this language. While working in this lab, I was able to publish a paper on a conference. You can see a title page of my presentation and a title of my paper, which is Geometric Refactoring of Quantum and Reversible Circuits, Quantum Layout. And also I made a poster on the same paper, and its name is Refactoring of Quantum and Reversible Circuits. And I was able to present both my presentation and my poster on research conferences.
Hello all, my name is Sultan Ho and I'm doing COVID-19 research with Professor Martin Lukac, and I'm the first year master student in data science. I want to show what I'm working on in this research. That is our cough analyzer web app, and we have a lot of records here with different results and different diagnoses like COVID-19, cardiac diseases, pneumonia, asthma, cancer, and allergies. Also, we have sound. So we record the sound and we analyze it. We build machine learning classifiers and collect all the data, and in future we can predict the models according to the sound and like different attributes.
Hello everyone, my name is Nurdolet. I'm a third year computer science student and I work as a machine learning programmer for Professor Martin Lukac in the team of CoV classification and analysis. So what is the task of our team? We are aiming to build an application that will provide the CoV diagnosis of a user. Given the audio from the user, we give him the diagnosis and further instructions what to do. So let me share with you one of my works. So basically my main responsibilities here is to build deep learning models for CoV classification, CoV generation, and CoV detection. So the example that I'm going to show you is about CoV detection. So for this, I mainly used Librosa, Python, and TensorFlow. Librosa is a library to work with an audio file. Very convenient. I would advise you to work with it if you're working with audio files. So I use TensorFlow for, as you can see, I use pre-trained VGG19. I get pre-trained weights from ImageNet, get the predictions, and after that I classify them using scikit-learn classifiers. So as you can see, we had test data of 73 samples, and only 2 out of 73 samples were misclassified, which from my point of view is uh, a good result. So also for CAP generation, I use the computer provided by Professor Martin Lukac. As you can see here, I have NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060, 8 gigabytes. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Hello everyone, My name is Gulnaz, and I'm third-year computer science student at Nazarbayev University. So currently, I'm working with Professor Martin on emotion recognition system for live feeling communication. So what I mainly do is I compare and evaluate different emotion recognition approaches in machine learning and deep learning. I also aimed at increasing their accuracies, so I do a lot of testing and experimenting with different datasets. So beforehand, I did some evaluation. I ran my real-time little small app. I can show you some results of that. So as you can see, app detects a face, it reads all needed information, and then give predictions. Yeah, different percentages of 6 different emotions. So what makes my life easier is that I have an access to lab computer even if I work remotely. You know, laptops are not designed for machine learning. So thanks to lab computers, I can do my training much faster. I'm very excited about this project. I hope we will have some good results. And I wish you to have some fun.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Rustan. I'm a member of NPC Lab. Right now I'm working as a research assistant for Professor Martin Lukac. Also, I'm a student in Nazarbayev University pursuing bachelor degree, major in computer science and minor in mathematics. Right now I'm a third year student. Okay, so right now we, with Professor Martin Lukac, we are working on algorithm selection project where we analyze the chest X-ray images and decide, first of all, which algorithm from selected amount of algorithms performs the best on certain image, and then this image will be processed through this model, and then it will give us the decision if it's a pneumonia or if it's tuberculosis or if it's healthy image, right? So how is it working? Yes. So, for example, we have the image of chest X-ray image of the pneumonia case, right? And the first program will decide which algorithm actually performs the best on this image. It will just predict. Yes, it cannot just certainly say this one or this one. So, for example, we have, for example, DPN92 and DenseNet 1-to-1. If DenseNet 1-to-1 while training shows us that it performs the best on the pneumonia cases if there are some spots on the left lung, then DenseNet 1-to-1 will be chosen for such images in the future, yes, on the next images on while testing.
Okay, let me just advance this a little bit because I think there is only code, so maybe not that exciting.
Of algorithms for achieving artificial intelligence. In recent years, you may have heard a lot about different algorithms achieving quite impressive performance on different tasks, such as human level performance in game of Go, or personal assistants, which may even make calls for their clients. Or if we look closer, the cost of such algorithms is just enormous in terms of financial and also environmental effects. And in addition, the current market for embedded and wearable devices is growing enormously, and hence causing creation of different applications where we really want to have artificial intelligence inside. However, if you will take the current existing algorithms, which performs well, and try to put them in these small wearable devices, you will tremendously fail, because These devices are small, and if you try to make algorithms, they will be either too slow or either won't fit, or if you still make them fit on these smaller chips, which are smaller than a coin, they may be inaccurate. In addition, there are not so much understanding of algorithms for artificial intelligence. That's why we want to do optimization, which will involve also some understanding of the algorithms. And we have like 3 main directions in our lab. So first one, we work on reducing the precision of the values. So from 32 bits, we reduce it to 1, which gives you tremendous acceleration and storage compression. We also try to compress the existing models in such a way that it will require less operations. And another direction, which we try to combine understanding of current algorithms for artificial intelligence and with having this understanding proposal of new optimization algorithms. We have published several works on these topics, and if you're really interested, you can look at the works, or you can write to us and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So thank you for your attention and hope you enjoyed it.
Good. I think that's everything. So thank you.
Okay, so I think since we don't have any questions in the chat, I'll allow myself to ask you a few. So first question that I have is about publishing a work which is written in the field of computer science. So I know that computer science is mostly like an open access field. So everything that is being invented is usually published online for so that other people can use it. So how do you actually distinguish between something you upload to GitHub, I mean, for example, or publish as a paper?
So the thing is that, you know, in computer science, there was always this problem of intellectual property. So while the code by default is not really, you cannot really say that the code belongs to someone, even though if somebody made the code, somebody can make different code with the same functionality. So there is not really any, I would say, any specific rules. So in order to actually, let's say, keep some sort of intellectual property, we always publish a paper on a conference or a journal and publish the code in some open access. In addition, this is becoming more of a standard because in the higher impact publication venues, they always want to be sure that they can verify the claims. So the code in general is required.
And I also was going to ask about the majors that are working in your lab, because you've said that one person is actually an economy student.
Yes.
I have also seen Dr. Molnar on your website, who is a professor from biology department.
Yes. Actually, so the external, like Professor Molnar, Alessandra from medicine, I have said Ali from medicine, and so on. So they are somehow joined to different projects. They don't really work in the lab, but I have joined projects with them. Yes. For example, with Alessandra Clementi, we have this COF analyzer project. With Professor Molnar, we are supervising some master's student. With Syed Ali, we are also co-sharing some students in the area of knee injury MRI assisted analysis. Yes. Now for the students, actually I had some biologists. I have, I think Tagir, he is chemist. I have now Daoud Gali, who's economist. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, anybody who is interested and is willing to actually work with this, you know, with computers is more than welcome.
Okay, thank you very much for this lab tour. It was very interesting. I really liked your idea about putting cameras everywhere.
Thank you very much.
It was really innovative. Okay, and I will also want to thank students who joined us. We will upload this video to YouTube, so if you have to rewatch something and if you missed some parts due to the internet connection, I wish you all the good rest of the Sunday. Thank you for joining. Thank you for presenting, and also thank you to your areas who were actively working during the whole lab tour.
Oh, yes, yes, they were working. Yes, thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye-bye.